Welcome to this week's End of Days Update, coming to you from Tulsa, Oklahoma. We had such a great time up in Pittsburgh there at Berean Fellowship, meetings on Saturday and Sunday this last weekend. If you can, come down. We'll be in Dothan, Alabama. Come down to Dothan. We'll be at Cornerstone Church we've been to many times. Great folks, great people. And if you could like us on YouTube, it just helps us get more likes so we can get the exposure for getting the ministry, get the message out. Jesus is just about to come. It intrigues me how close we are to the coming of the Lord. It's so quiet. But there are, I know, a group of people all over the world that know that Jesus is just about to come back. It's so blatant right now that it's obvious that he's about to return. So it's exciting to see churches so get on fire that there's a fuel that burns when it comes to end time preaching. Because I hear people try to say, you don't need to be preaching on the coming of the Lord. Well, it's about a finish line. When you see what the finish line looks like, you run faster, not slower. So I've never seen a runner look at the finish line and go, what is that? No, they know exactly what the finish line is. So the teaching on the coming of the Lord is to show us how close we are so we make changes. I would think you'd want to be a soul winner. I think you want to live right, live holy. You'd want to be sweet, be kind, be happy. So it's interesting, Jesus warned us to know, because remember when the madman Gadara came walking into Gadara and the demons started crying out, have you come to torment us before the time? They knew that Jesus had a schedule and that Jesus was ahead of schedule. So if demons can know, how much more the church? And remember when Jesus was talking to the crowd, he rebuked the Pharisees over and over and over again. But when he saw the crowd, he said, you can tell what the weather's going to be, but you don't know your hour of visitation. So he wanted us to know. Same thing in the Old Testament. There's some things happening right now that are such a setup for the Ezekiel 38 war that let me give you a thought pattern to think of about that. Remember Daniel, they were in captivity for 70 years, and Daniel said, man, I got to find out why we're in captivity. The Lord told him, let the land rest for 6 years, let the land rest every seventh year, and they didn't do that. They planted on that last year for 490 years. So Gabriel tells Daniel, hey, Jesus is going to come, but he's going to come after 483. Well, God gave them another 490 years. Well, Jesus comes after 483, so they've got 7 years that the Lord owes Israel for Old Covenant time. So that's what you're seeing the earth get ready for right now. People are going, well, how do we know what the Ezekiel 38 war is going to be? You can tell. It's the only time where that America doesn't even try to help Israel because half of our country's probably gone. And this is when you see God physically intervene for Israel. In this dispensation, he doesn't. In fact, I got a text this morning from our friends in Jerusalem. He said they were bombarded all night last night. Even some people were killed right down the street from them. So let's pick up on what's happening over there that blends in to show us how close we are to Ezekiel 38 war, because those are markers for us. And when you've got markers, you can see what the Bible said. It talks about in the war with Elam, that's Persia and that's Iran. So the Bible spoke about that years ago. So we're living when all this is coming to pass right in front of our eyes. So this is crazy. You had shrapnel and fragments of missiles come down on the Temple Mount. Came down in where the Church of the Living Sepulchres right there. And my friend that was there, he said, man, we're talking about shrapnel from missiles hitting on the Temple Mount, which is just crazy. So Iran, this last week, they looked like they changed their strategy to ratchet up what they're going to do. It looks like the new Ayatollah got moved over to Moscow for repair because he got injured and wounded. So he's not even in Iran. He's over in Moscow. And you had China and Russia using a new pact to almost cyber spy against America. You've got Russia this last week literally giving Iran sites for their missiles to go to hurt Americans. So there's a lot of shifting going around like that, but America's having to do what it has to do. I mean, the Strait of Hormuz, there's some missiles being stored there by the Strait of Hormuz that America used their bunker buster bombs. They sent a whole bunch over there, multiple bunker buster bombs, 5,000-pound bunker busters to get to those missiles, because Iran's got missiles hidden all over the country, and the U.S. is basically trying to destroy all those. And even with those missiles that were destroyed, there were a bunch of defense systems that were destroyed as well. Well, you have the aircraft carrier group, Gerald Ford, that had a fire for 30 hours. They've taken that aircraft carrier up to Crete, off of Greece. I'd like to go to the Greek islands to get your boat fixed. Well, a 30-hour fire. So that's our main big carrier group. So there's a lot going on that is setting up for the coming of the Lord. You have American businessman Peter Thiel go to Rome and to do lectures at the Vatican and the other places around the Vatican got involved with it. So, I mean, you got talking, what was he lecturing about? The Antichrist. So you've got a guy in Italy. We know that the Antichrist will come from revived Rome, but you have an American businessman in Italy doing open meetings about the Antichrist. It's intriguing that you see all of that happening right in front of you. So we're just blessed that we get an opportunity to comprehend. This is showing us that Jesus is about to come back. So what do signs do for us? Well, they tell you how close you are to your destination. All of this stuff being involved, with now China and Russia being involved, it looked like they were cyber spying against some of our bases and literally some of our voting habits to find out how they could literally use the votes to get what they want put in place. Kind of scary that these nations are, we know they've been doing it a long time, but it was exposed how radical it was. When it was exposed how radical it was, Israel has to do something, America has to do something, because you got China and Russia coming together, and that's what the Bible says happens at the end of the tribulation. So you've got stuff set up for the beginning of the tribulation, you got stuff set up for the end, and you got stuff that's being vocalized for the midpoint of the tribulation, which is the Antichrist coming into the temple and saying, I'm God. But the Jews are going to think he's the Messiah, but he ends up being the devil incarnate. So right after we're raptured, you have seals open up. The first seal that opens up is the Antichrist. The second one is World War III, and the third one is hyperinflation. So you're physically watching things that the Bible wrote thousands of years ago is coming to pass in your lifetime. So what do? We help our church, help our local pastor. We get more involved, not less involved. We're on point to do whatever the Lord wants us to do. So we have all these things happening around there. So let's always go back to the Word. What's the Word say it'll look like? Because things come and go, changes come and go, but the Bible stays the same. Number one, Israel regathered in our lifetime. Jerusalem won back in 1967. You have the revival of the Roman Empire. You've got the language restored. The Israeli language, 120 years ago, no one spoke Hebrew. Now everyone speaks Hebrew. You got the Ethiopian Jews brought back. They sent C-130s down in the land of Ethiopia and brought 18,000 Ethiopian Jews out in one day. Chuck Roberts on CNN Headline News said an exodus that eclipses the book of Exodus. Now, when CNN goes to preaching about what the Lord's doing, you better look up. Jesus is about to come back. So you have that. You have the fertility of the land of Israel. Remarkable. If you got into all that, you could preach for days on that. It's crazy. You've got that. You got men will be lovers themselves. You have selfie sticks. You got foxes up on the Temple Mount. You've got fish in the Dead Sea. You've got the Dead Sea turned blood red where Sodom and Gomorrah was. What day did that happen on? The Day of Atonement. So that's amazing. All these things happening when we're paying attention to signs from the heavens. So the ritual baths around the Temple Mount filled up with water. Yeah, the Temple Mount Institute got a red heifer to use, and they said that this one didn't qualify as they came right down to the day of it. Said he had a black hair and a gray hair, but come to find out, it wasn't a test run. It was the actual red heifer. You know how they got it there? Some people from Texas flew them there and saying that they were service animals. Anyway, something happened about 3 months ago when that happened. And there's only been 10 of those in all of history, and that happened in your lifetime. So the Temple Mount Institute has that taken care of, has all the things in position to start doing sacrifices. So all these people that are ready for what's going to happen just after we are raptured. I mean, the Bible says that Russia's going to come from the north, and the Ukraine is straight north of Israel. So each little thing is one piece after another coming into place. You got the land with the amount of birds coming there, 172 different species of predatory birds. The bird specialist said, this is crazy. Well, that's abnormal. What's going to happen at the Ezekiel 38 war? God will call on the fowl of the air to clean the land up. 7 years later, at the Battle of Armageddon, he'll call on the fowl of the air to clean the land up as well. So you've got the cleanup crew in position. You've got Russia in position. You've got Israel in position. You've got the Temple Mount Institute in position. You've got birds in position. And I mean, when nature's getting involved, just like in the Old Testament, Methuselah was a walking timepiece. The Bible said he was the oldest living man ever. And when he died, the flood came. Think of the supernaturalness of the animals all coming and getting on that boat. Even if people thought he was crazy, they saw that the animals were responding. So you've got animals responding right now, just like at the beginning of time. So we're just blessed to get to see it all. So you have all of these signs, and then you go to signals. The blood red moons were signals for us. You had blood red moons on Passover and Tabernacles. Now what's that? God saying, I died for you, I'm coming back. I died for you, I'm coming back. That's called a tetrad, NASA says. Now when's the last time you had 4 in a row on Passover and Tabernacles? 1967, when Jerusalem was won back. 1948, when Israel was made a nation. 1492 at the Edict of Expulsion when the Jews were kicked out of Spain. So, I mean, you have it all in front of you right there, that was signs for us. That's pretty radical and signals for us. But then there's even more. I don't hear it preached very much, but the Bethlehem star. You had Jupiter, you had Regulus, a king planet. Regulus did retrograde motion and crowned Jupiter. Pretty amazing when that happened. What was the constellation when Jesus was born? Virgo. What was it the other day? Leo. He's the lion of the tribe of Judah. Hadn't been seen in 2,000 years. Bethlehem star. So when Jesus was born, you had the heavens come a certain way. You had signals for that with the blood red moons. And then you have the world in a situation of just like what it was said it would be before the Ezekiel 38 war. How radical is that? So let's go for it. Let's do it. Let's be on point. Let's go for it. Let's run our race, accelerate. Look unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of your faith. You're strong in Him. Don't be concerned about Him. Don't be concerned about what's happening in the world. I mean, as far as danger, Jesus said there'd be wars and rumors of wars. See that you're not troubled. There's 5 things about the coming of the Lord. He said, don't be troubled, don't be deceived. I want you happy, hopeful, and I want you comforted. If you hear end-time preaching and it scares you, it's not Bible. So God set your life up to be right here, one of the last runners. So recognize the destiny on your life and run your race. Hey, thanks for tuning in. We'll come back next week, and I know we'll hear of a lot of stuff happening with the shrapnel and more missiles coming from Iran, and we'll know it'll get closer to the other battles that are going to happen just before we leave the planet. Have a blessed week. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Thanks for joining us today at the End of Days Update. If you'd like to be notified every time there's a new post, just go to the edu at josephmorris.com and subscribe to receive email alerts. If these posts and updates have been a blessing to you, please consider making a one-time donation to help get the message out, or even becoming a monthly partner with Joseph Morris Ministries. Thanks again for tuning in to the EDU, and we'll see you next week.